We won't let them succeed on either front.
It is also a further vindication of what the Chief Constable himself said last Friday.
In relation to the
in relation to bringing in specialist soldiers.
Well, first of all, in relation to the threat, we never argued with the Chief Constable's assessment of the threat. In fact, I've been saying for well over a year that the dissident Republicans were a very significant threat, and that we needed to be marshalling our political response in relation to them, as well as the security.
And a quick last word from Richard.
I think, Paul, tonight, that one message I would like to repeat that I made in the Chamber today: there must be no retaliation. If anybody out there is thinking, and I've seen texts going around the city about Loyalists or other elements must not get involved in this. The last thing we can stand is for a retaliatory tit-for-tat situation. I hope and pray that people will realise that that is the wrong road to go down. Do not get involved.
But we will be watching and listening with interest to what is said tomorrow at Stormont. Reg MP, Mark Durkin and David Ford, thank you very much indeed. Well, we're going to be back soon with the big political picture. Can Stormont deliver? Do stay with us. Special on this Monday evening. The latest news is that a policeman has been shot dead tonight in Craigavon. With the latest information now, Mark.
Yes, the news coming out of Craigavon this evening. The policeman was shot in the Lismore Manor area of Craigavon, which is a largely Republican area. Police say this attack happened at around 10 o'clock this evening, so just under an hour and a half ago. He was taken to Craigavon Area Hospital. A policing board member was able to confirm that he had been in fact shot dead. Reaction coming in very swiftly to this latest killing this evening. Paul, the DUP Assembly member for Upper Bann, David Simpson, who's also the MP for the area, said what we have seen over the last 36 hours is a deliberate and sustained effort by terrorist murders to try and drag Northern Ireland back to the worst days of Ulster's past. In strong words, he said, I utterly and completely condemn the criminals responsible for this latest outrage, and I hope that the vermin responsible for it are brought to justice immediately. That from David Simpson, the DUP MP and MLA for the Upper Bann area. And as I said, reaction to this coming in very swiftly. And we also have some from the SDLP.
From the SDLP, from Dolores Kelly, who is a member of the policing board, who is an MLA for Upper Bann, and indeed is on the phone now. Dolores Kelly, good evening to you. Can you tell us what you know about tonight's incident?
Within the last hour, I got some calls from local people from the central area of Craigavon who had heard that a police officer had been shot. Apparently, there was a routine call out for officers in the central area of Rhino, in and around the Lismore area, and apparently the police officer was shot and, as I understand, has since died, and want to offer my sincere condolences to his family and indeed the wider police family.
And of course what this does is it shows yet again how vulnerable the police are in a situation like this, particularly in the back of what happened on Saturday night in Antrim.
It's quite unbelievable, and such terrible days that we are now looking to the worst of our past, and people are very angry and very despondent. They don't want to go back there, and really the community now have to step up to the mark and bring these perpetrators, these murderers, to justice.
It is also a vindication of what the Chief Constable said on Friday.
The Chief Constable has been saying for several months that the level of this activity was high. Last week it was declared to be severe, and indeed the Chief Constable said that what the dissidents wanted was the death of a police officer, and it looks like tonight they have succeeded, but they will not succeed in tearing down the political structures and the peace process that the people of Ireland want and indeed need to build a better future for ourselves and for our children.
What would you be saying to people in Upper Bann tonight?
To remain calm, to help in any way the police with their inquiries, their investigation, whatever suspicious activity they see, regardless of how small a detail they might think it is, to please come forward and help the police put these killers, because there's very few people who support these people, very few people involved, and I really do send an appeal to anyone, any member of the family, to please hand over the information to the police as a matter of urgency.
Dolores Kelly, thank you very much indeed for taking the call tonight. Well, in the studio now I'm joined by our political editor Ken Reid and by the political commentator Jim Dougal. Gentlemen, tonight's events in Craigavon have put a completely different complexion on the discussion and on this programme tonight.
Yeah, well, it's shocking news once again, but I think those of us who were at Stormont today were very struck by the fact of the dignity of the politicians and the fact that there was this unity. We had a very statesmanlike speech from Peter Robinson saying there'd be no going back, no turning back. Jerry Adams coming afterwards and saying, offering sympathy to the families and condolences to the families of 2 dead British soldiers. You couldn't imagine that some years ago. And there was this unity of purpose that no matter what, the institutions must continue. And I certainly, being there today, didn't feel that Stormont was under threat. But obviously tonight again, another attack.
And a maturity among the politicians, Jim, that they spoke today with one voice.
A great maturity, and I think that we have another problem tonight, and I do think that this may be a small organisation, the Real IRA, but it is a very dangerous organisation. And one of the things that they wanted to do was to fracture the political institutions which we have here at the moment. Now, I watched that chamber at Stormont in various operations from 1970 onwards, and I don't think that I've seen the kind of solidarity of message between all of the politicians that we saw at Stormont today. I think actually it was quite unique, and I think that if one of the aims of the Real IRA is to bring that power sharing structure down, it will not succeed.
It looked like an outbreak of agreement today, didn't it?
It did, and it was interesting. All the main parties said support the PSNI. Could you imagine a few years ago you would expect the DUP leader to come out and call for tougher security measures, bring in all sorts of things? That wasn't the case today. Peter Robinson said, no, put your faith in the Chief Constable and the PSNI. And then Jerry Adams said he supported the Chief Constable and the PSNI as well. And Mark Durkin and David Ford. Sir Ed Empey, on a slightly different level, said that perhaps this should delay the demolition of policing and justice. That's another argument, but up there today there definitely was a sense of purpose, and I think tomorrow morning at 10:30 when they reconvene, that will be underlined again.
Was the sense of purpose helped or hindered by Gordon Brown being here today?
Well, there's a couple of arguments about that. He's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. 2 soldiers were dead, I suppose. He felt it was necessary to come over. Others were saying that perhaps it wasn't the greatest idea because it does give the terrorists, the dissident Republicans, the oxygen of publicity. But I suppose the publicity was going to be there anyway, and we'll wait and see.
I think that it was a good idea for him to come, actually, because I think it did show a solidarity between the government and those people at Stormont, and that they were not going to be brought down by this kind of activity.
Okay, gentlemen, just like you to sit where you are at the moment, because we have got John O'Dowd, MLA, Sinn Féin MLA for Upper Bann on the